Welcome to this video on the introduction to Agility Trader 4. This video is part one of a two-part video series. The other video covers the companion to Agility Trader 4, which considerably eases the development of your own strategies. In this video we're going to cover the capabilities of the program, the installation, MetaTrader 4 settings which you need to attend to, running the expert advisor, back testing, and finally optimization. Agility Trader 4 is a versatile expert advisor. It allows for the multiple entry and exit parameters based on differing time frames. Up to 5 conditions may be specified for each trade, and each condition has multiple join conditions, allowing for virtually limitless sets of trading ideas. Many of your own existing trading concepts can now be automated. You can automatically trade support and resistance channels. It handles pending orders and straddle trades automatically. Quite a few advanced money management techniques. Now there's quite a long list of signals that you can develop your strategies through. As I scroll through these, you may pause to look at them, as well as the general strategies. There's one of note down the bottom, which is the ability to define strategies using user-defined indicators. That will be covered in detail in a later video. There's a vast number of management options available, including basket trading, wages based on equity, and optionally also stop loss, wager increase multiples, which is discussed in detail on the Forex follow-on forum, trailing stop loss, set stop loss to break even, decrease stop loss percentage, and take profit in stages. All these options can be varied through the input panel, which contains over 350 inputs, and as I mentioned earlier, the companion program will considerably ease the input of these particular considerations. In summary, the inputs are categorized into general inputs, which include stop loss and take profit inputs. A lot of your conditions have joins, and there are up to 7 different types of joins which are detailed here. The development of the strategy stage involves buy entries, buy exits, sell entries, and sell exits, and each particular type of trade has up to 5 conditions attached to it. We'll just go ahead and cover the installation, which is quite straightforward. After you download Agility Trader 4 zip file, by unzipping it you will have an exe file. Now the installation itself is very automated, and I would draw your attention to the readme file, which you can view at the end of the installation. We'll just bring this up and have a quick look at it now. Now, just a few notes relating to this readme file. I will cover a lot of the detail in the second video, but firstly, just a few notes relating to the Agility Trader 4 Expert Advisor itself. The Expert Advisor can be attached to any chart when required and will operate independently of the companion program. That is, that the Agility Trader 4 Expert Advisor is completely free. You do not need the companion program to run it, although it is recommended because it will ease your inputs. The set files which are created from the companion program are fully readable by the Agility Trader 4 Expert Advisor. Now, it's worth noting that the ability to read and write set files from your companion program is an optional upgrade. Also, there's a note about use of indicators. As I mentioned, I will cover this in detail in a future video. I have included 2 example files. One is the standard non-lag.mq4 source file, and the second file in that particular directory is the non-lag._agility trader mq4 file, which gives you an insight into the changes that are required in your own user indicators to make them usable within Agility Trader 4. And one final note, which is most important, in the companion program, the 14 major currency pairs are used. Just make sure that you have all those pairs enabled within your MetaTrader 4 installation. There's two that are probably not enabled, and they are AUD, NZD, and Great Britain Pound AUD. Now, the installation program both covers the installation of the Expert Advisor plus the installation of the companion. Now, there is a bridge between the companion and MetaTrader 4, and it's called mtapi.ex4. Now, that particular program is installed automatically. I would emphasise, of course, that you will need that running as an Expert Advisor to enable some aspects of the companion program, such as the heat map and trading off charts through the companion program. Now, let's just move on to a little bit of housekeeping required after the installation. After the installation, you will have an Agility Trader 4 directory created under your documents directory. There's a file in there called agilitytrader.ex4, which is your Expert Advisor, which needs to be transferred over to MetaTrader 4. So we'll go ahead and do that now. I'll right click on it, click on copy, and we're going to bring up MetaTrader 4, go into File, open Data Folder, navigate to your Experts directory, which is under MQL4, right click and click on Paste, and that will place your Agility Trader 4 exe4 into the MQL4 Experts directory. You'll notice that as part of the installation, mtapi ex4 will also be placed in that directory automatically. We'll just close that off. Now we have MetaTrader 4 open. I have just one chart highlighted at this stage. What we need to do is, with your list of Expert Advisors, the best way to refresh your list of Expert Advisors is simply by right-clicking on it and clicking on Refresh. Now, if you were to expand your list of Expert Advisors, you can see now that we have Agility Trader 4 highlighted in your list of Expert Advisors, and it is available for use. To attach this to a chart is just a matter of dragging it onto the chart. But before we do that, I want to draw your attention to some housekeeping items which you must take care of to run Expert Advisors within MetaTrader 4. So if you go to the top command line, click on Tools, Options, and Expert Advisors, and just ensure that the three checkboxes on the left are highlighted. They need to be highlighted for your Expert Advisors to run. So if you've got those highlighted, you can click on OK. You should have the Auto Trading button automatically depressed, which it is here. And now we can drag Agility Trader 4 onto a chart. So to do that, we just highlight it. Holding down the left mouse button, we drag it onto a particular chart. Now I have the Inputs tab showing. It may just show that particular tab, but just select the Inputs tab, and then here you have the big long list of configurable items relating to MetaTrader 4. As I mentioned, don't be overwhelmed by that list because it is a lot easier to handle within the companion program. But these inputs are broadly categorized under money management, which is that one there. Past money management, we have the buy entry trade with up to 5 conditions, and we'll slowly scroll through there. There's condition 2, condition 3, 4 and 5. Then we go into the buy exit trade with 5 conditions, and onto the sell entry, 5 conditions, and then sell exit, 5 conditions. So that's basically the structure of the inputs. By default, there is a very simple RSI strategy enabled. So what we'll do is we'll just accept the inputs as they are by standard, click on OK, and you should see a smiley face. And by a smiley face, I mean with the smile on the little caricature on the right rather than a frown. If you do see a frowning face, it probably means that you have not set up auto trading correctly. Now here is a summary of the inputs, and this is what's called an input panel, and in that summary you'll see that we've got a buy entry where the RSI 14 crosses above a nominated value of 30, and a sell entry enabled with an RSI of 40 crossing below a nominated value of 70. We also have set up a stop loss and a take profit. You can see here we've got a stop loss of 50 and a take profit, a little bit hidden at the moment, but it also has a value of 50. So that expert advisor is now sitting there ready to open trades based on the basis that the stop loss, that the RSI crosses values of either 30 upwards or 70 downwards for the sell entry. I wanted now to cover quickly back testing and optimization. Before we do that, I'll just draw your attention to another setting under Tools, and we need to go to Options and select the Charts tab, and just make sure that the maximum bars and history is set to 1 million for both bars and history and bars and chart. Now by default it's probably set at 65,000, but I want you to change both those to 1 million and click on OK. Now the quickest way to get data, it's a very simple process. First of all, there's a button here which is the automatic scroll to the end of the last ticket. I want you to turn that off by clicking on it again so it is not showing in the depressed state. And to gather data, it's just a matter of pressing page up on your keyboard. Now, just make sure that you have the time frame that you require selected, and I'm going to go ahead and simulate this. We'll press the page up, and you'll notice that first of all we highlight the chart. When we press page up, it will probably cycle fairly quickly initially, but then it may slow down as it runs out of history, and you can generally get at least 3 months of previous data no matter what time frame you nominate. In this particular case, we're right back to the beginning of January. Once you've got that data, that's there available for your testing. So we just go back and re-enable that automatic scroll to the end of the bar history. And we now that can be applied to all time frames and all particular currencies, just to make sure that you have the chart selected that you want to create the history on, and also the time frame that you want. Well, that's the quickest way to get bar data into your history. I'm going to go on to View and bring up your strategy tester. Now it's important that we make this wide enough so that you can see this little button here, this little checkbox here. And occasionally you'll find that in trying to maximize the test, it will dock itself to the side of your Trader4 installation. It is best that it runs on a window of its own and as close as possible to the center as possible. Now what we're going to do to run this expert advisor, we need to select it in the list of expert advisors. So we'll select Agility Trader4 expert advisor. Double click should do that. We're going to do it on the Euro USD because that was the one where we gathered our own data for it. So I'll select Euro USD. Now the model, I wanted to talk about the 3 different models which are available. The model that I want you to use initially is the open prices only model. Expert advisors generally can be designed so that they do operate on bar close, and that is the case for Agility Trader4. So I want you to select the open prices only model. We will discuss in detail in another video that the 3 different models available. It is quite appropriate for Agility Trader4 to do your development of strategies using the open prices only model. We will, after we complete a back test using this model, we will verify it using the every tick model. The every tick model is exactly what it says. It looks at every single trade that takes place in evaluating the performance of your particular strategy. There is one in the middle which is control points only, which will default to the lowest time frame data that you have available and work off that particular information. It's not as good as the every tick situation, but it can be more accurate in the open prices model. But as I said, Agility Trader4 is a special situation where we do primarily work on bar close and bar open, so it's quite appropriate to develop using open prices only. So we'll select that at the moment. We're going to use date. Now, by default, and particularly in the companion program, the Agility Trader4 uses the last 3 months data. Best way to get to that is to select a day and just navigate backwards from today. So we're going to go back to the beginning of July, and we'll select a day and we'll use up to the end of October, which is the 1st of October. Actually, we'll use the 30th because it's not quite the end of the month at the moment. Now, as I mentioned earlier on, if we go into expert properties for this particular expert advisor, we'll make that a little bit bigger. You can see here, if we navigate down to the buy entries, you can see that we have the RSI 14 crossing above the nominated value of 30. By the way, a lot of these are optional selections, so if you double click on them, you will get a drop down box which allows you to select whatever you want. And if we have a look at this one here, nominated value, you can see all the vast range of selections that you do have available. So I'll leave that particular one on nominated value. I'm not going to talk about the optimization at this stage, but we will go through and just run this as a quick back test and let you have a look at it. So, having had the correct expert advisor, the correct currency pair, the correct model, we're going to use the date from the 1st of July to the end of October. Actually, we might just go back to the end of September because October's not quite completed yet. So we've got June, July, August, that's 3 months of data available, and we're going to click on start to start the back testing process. You can see it happens very quick because it's using the open prices only model. If we were to look at the graph created from that, it's not a particularly good back test simply because we haven't optimized it at this stage. In fact, from $10,000 balance, it's showing a balance of $9,257 as a closing balance. But what we're going to do now is we're going to go back and have a look at optimizing those particular figures. So if we go back to settings, we go back to expert properties, I'm going to look at optimizing a few of these factors. Now, the way to optimize factors is to check the box out on the left hand side. Now, if we check stop loss and set at 50, we're going to cycle through from values of, and I've already set these values from 30 and steps of 10 through to a value of 70. So I've selected that particular one. We'll do the same for take profit. We're going to cycle between 30 in values of 10 up to 70. So it's a start value, a step value, and a stop value. Let's just move down a little bit. Now, the reason these are previously ticked, I have run this optimization before. It's just to save a bit of time in the video. So by entry, we'll step in steps from 10 through to 50 for the pass up through the lower level, and it's going to use, as I said, from 10 steps of 10 through to 50. It's highlighted. We'll do the same for the buy exit condition 1. I'm sorry, not the buy exit condition 1, the sell entry condition 1. So RSI going from 50 to 90 in steps of 10. We might also add, and I forgot to make reference in buy entry, but we can do it in sell entry. We're going to cycle through the values for the number of bars over which the calculation is made. We're going to step in steps of 2 from 10 to 20. So having all those, the ones that we optimize highlighted, we'll click on OK. Now it's important at this stage, and I made reference before to this display of the test being wide enough so this optimization box shows. We're going to check that particular value there, and we're going to run through an optimization starting on the 1st of July through to the end of September, and using the optimization parameters. So it is advantageous, I might add, at any stage during the video to pause, even rewind a bit if you do need to reread some of the statements that I've made, or to enlighten it for yourself. So we're now ready to carry out the optimization. Depending on the speed of this optimization, I may pause the video and come back towards the end of the optimization. So we're going to click on Start. Now you can see this particular time it's going through quite fast. In actual fact, there were 22,000 possible 22,500 possible optimizations. It only used 1,280. By clicking on the optimization results, we'll get a list of the actual passes it did make. And it's important that you look at the best values up the top. So we're going to click on Profit. You'll need 2 clicks. Just make sure your scroll bar's up the top. And you can see now that we had a best result of $2,334 profit. You can see here that we've got a take profit of stop loss 60, and we'll look at these in a moment. If we double click on that one, now it's not necessary to select the best optimization, but I would keep in mind drawdown is another factor to look at, but the drawdown is relatively low. So I'm going to double click that. By double clicking it, you transfer it automatically into the expert properties box onto the left hand column. So just remember that. Double click on any column of your optimizations will transfer the values into the value column. You can see here that we've got the best value of 60 for stop loss, best value of 70 for take profit. The optimum setting for buy entry number of bars is 14. It's saying if it crosses up through 50 to open the buy trade, we'll go on to the sell entry, have a look at that. Just using the middle wheel of your mouse to move down there. It says 16 is the best RSI value for the number of bars, and for crossing down below a nominated value of 70 was the best setting there. Remember, it was optimized between 50 and 90 in steps of 10. So we're going to click on OK to accept that. Uncheck your optimization box and now click on Start. Now if we look at the graph this time, you can see we have a much better shaped graph, and it's showing a fairly constant rise in balance. If we look at the report itself, which is the next bar across, you can see that we had a profit factor of 2.67, $2,334 a profit, and it was, you will notice that this is a full red bar, and it's simply saying that, look, you've done this on a open prices only. You should really check it on every tick model. So we'll go ahead and do that for the exercise and just see what a difference it makes. Now let's just talk about this for a moment. I mentioned that Trader4 is designed to operate off the bar close situation, but what will not happen at bar close is that a take profit or stop loss could cut in at any point. So by using the every tick model, we get that continuous flow of trades right through the whole 3 months, and that the stop loss and take profit could occur at any point, and it doesn't not necessarily happen at bar close. So if we go back to settings, I'm going to select the every tick model. Now just before I do that, I just wanted to check that I do have that data there. So we're going to open the data folder, go into tester, go into history. I want you to note this Euro USD 60 _2.fxt. Now the _2 is the every tick data. I'm sorry, I'll correct that. The _0 is the every tick data. You can see this is a large file. Now how do you get that file? Well, I do have a website called freetickdata.com, which will allow you to download FXT files as zip files simply to save space, but you'll need to unzip them to FXT. Now I have the 14 currency pairs with 7 different time frames with these FXT files automatically created. Now I do update these every month, so in a couple of days you will have FXT files right up to the end of October. Remember, it'll be in a zip file. You simply register on the site. You'll be given the web address to download all these files, and I do also have 2016 data. So There's a huge amount of data available from freetickdata.com. Now it's just a matter of putting the data that you require into the tester history subdirectory and selecting the every tick model, and then you can backtest on every tick. You don't need a third-party program for this. This is just simply a facility that I provide. The only difference is that it probably will not show 99% modeling quality, but you will have a complete green bar. So we'll close that off. We've got the every tick selected for Euro USD hour 1, and we're going to go ahead and run that result through using every tick. So I'll click on start. It takes a little bit longer because it's using a huge amount of data. Now if we look at this particular graph, it's a little bit less smooth, but one thing that has happened is that we have tested it on every tick. We've got certainly a consistent rise, around about $900 result, and that is to be expected with every tick because, as I said, those stop losses and take profits will cut in at any point. You can see here the green bar that I'm talking about. That simply indicates a 99% modeling quality. If you're using a third-party tick modeling program, of course that will show 99%, but the advantage of this is you do not have to pay any extra money to check on tick data. You can see that we've got 14,400,000 ticks have been modeled. There are no errors. So then we have that confidence check, and of course that is your final confidence check, the complete green bar there. Profit factors 2.39, total net profit $870.85. So I think at that stage it just about completes what I wanted to cover in this first video. I would urge you to watch the video on the companion program because that is really the underlying strength within this latest version of Agility Trader4. It's a very mature program. I've listened to a lot of your comments right from the evolution, right even back before Agility Trader4. I had a program on offer called Trader's Gift, and we've been through the 4 different models of Agility Trader4 to this point where it's a very stable program. In Agility Trader3, we did divert a little bit and attempt to work with multiple currencies. However, in my own determination, I believe that your ability to backtest and optimize using the Agility Trader4 strategy tester is probably a greater consideration. So that is why I've reverted back to this type of scenario. Look forward to hearing your comments on the Forex follow-on forum, and I would urge you to look at the companion program. Thank you for your attention.